Fam, what is going on? Good morning to you. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? I appreciate you guys being here. Today is Wednesday. Today is November 6th. I appreciate you guys. I hope that you are off to an amazing week. This is LSU week. Today on the show, we're going to recap the college football playoff rankings. Alabama is at number 11, okay? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about X factors going into this game against LSU. Want some feedback on that. What's up, Chris from New Jersey? I see you inside the comment box. College football weekend schedule, right? That's going to be something that we talk about as well. And then keys to beating LSU. And that's kind of what I want the focal point of this show to be about, right? Is the keys that you feel to beating LSU in clearly a pivotal game. If you want to fast forward to the end of the season, you know what has to happen. Alabama has to win out its remainder of the games, right? We're going to talk about it week by week, and we are going to take your calls today on the show. Goal today is 200 thumbs up. I appreciate you guys very much for being here on Bama Football on YouTube. Chris, today on my list of things to do today, I am going to mail out your Ryan Williams card. So that will be in the mail today. Okay, I appreciate you. Chris won we did a raffle, I guess during the last game, and he won a Ryan Williams rookie card. So that is going out today. I appreciate you guys being here. How's everybody doing today? You guys doing all right? I appreciate you joining the show. Last night, there's a lot going on with the election. And if you're wondering, about the gear today or the hat, look, I hope that you went out to vote. And I'm a very patriotic person, right? It doesn't matter to me who you voted for. It's important that you do vote. And I always think about, yesterday, it's so important to think about the people who literally paid the ultimate sacrifice so we have an opportunity to vote, right? Don't ever lose sight of that. So that's why I'm rocking the United States hat today. I used to live in Washington, D.C. It was so amazing to me because I lived up in Braddock Station. That's in Virginia. I lived in D.C. 2 different times. And the most amazing thing about living in D.C., and I worked at the EPA, and I worked for a congressman, and I would give tours of the U.S. Capitol building. And I would take, when I lived in Alexandria, I would take the Metro in, blue or yellow, right? That's on that's on the Metro going into D.C. I'd stop at Federal Triangle, then hook over to the EPA. And on the way, we would stop at the Pentagon, right? And it was so amazing to me that I would be riding the Metro with people who were dressed to the T, that were serving the United States military, men, women that were going to work for this country. And it made me so proud to live in DC. And I was just in a regular suit, like going to work, and I was standing, and I just felt like this sense of pride, right? I love living out in DC. To be honest, I'm not really a political person, but I do have a great appreciation for this country. And I do have appreciation for those that are currently serving and those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, clearly. So that's why I'm rocking the United States hat. I fly a flag outside of my house every single day. I never want to lose sight of that. That's just me. All right, so last night, a lot going on, right? The election, but also at 6 p.m. is the college football playoff rankings that came out on ESPN. If you want to look for the college football playoff rankings in the future release, it'll be every single Tuesday night. Sometimes it's at different times. I would imagine going forward, I think it's at 7 p.m. They have the list if you go to the college football playoffs. And now this year, there's going to be 12 teams that are added to the playoffs. Back in the fold, we got the game day forecast from North Alabama Storm Chase. I love doing the weather, and there is going to be weather for this game. So you look at the temperature, the temperature is going to be fine, but it's the rain. People are accustomed to rain in Louisiana, in Mississippi, and in Alabama, I promise you. I've never experienced so much rain in my life than living in Tuscaloosa the last 8 years. I like it. So the tailgate temperature is going to be 80 with a 60% chance of rain. And for game time, for the kick, 6:30, you're going to have a temperature of 76 and a 40% chance of rain. And for the fourth quarter, looks like a 40% chance of rain as well with the temperature of 74. And I started thinking about this temperature, and the temperature is fine. I started thinking about the rain, and which team will it impact more? Clearly LSU. Like, that is a team predicated on throwing the football. You have a wet football, it's going to be challenging for anybody to throw the football. Jalen Milroe said yesterday he played in a monsoon one time in high school. So he said they still threw the football. They still, wanted to, they didn't do anything really different about their game other than have the receivers take off gloves, right? So, it is part of the fabric. Like, this isn't LSU's first game in the rain. Garrett Nussmeier, he's a good quarterback. He's been around a long time. So, I don't know if the rain impacts somebody. I would imagine it impacts LSU more, but wet game in the Bayou, I like it. SEC football, here for it. I appreciate you guys being here. Chris, Byron, Chris from New Jersey, Angel from Pigeon Forge, Rocketown, Army 3275. Nicole, I saw you up in here. Everybody does loves. What's up, Ebony? Good morning to you. Chris Waldman, Kimberly, good morning to you. Everybody else inside the Undefeated. I appreciate you guys joining this morning show on Wednesday. So the college football playoff rankings, it looks like this. I took a picture from my TV, and here you go. The only thing that I didn't like on how they released the teams is how they ranked the teams and then they seeded them. Like that, it was a little bit confusing to me, but here you go. So what we're going to do is talk about how they seeded the teams, and then I guess we'll talk about the rankings. And I have a couple takeaways as well. But in case somehow you missed the bracket or you were watching the elections or whatever last night, here's what it looks like. I actually like the 12-team playoff. I'm not going to lie. You start going to 16, I feel that's a little much. 12 seems good. But I am going to gripe about something here in just a second. So 1 through 4, those teams would win the conference championship games, theoretically, and then they would host the quarterfinals. Teams 5, 6, 7, and 8, those teams that are seated in that spot, they would also host first-round games. So in this particular match, look, I keep telling people and spread the word, Alabama's season, we get it. Win out and you're in. But for those people that didn't think that Alabama was in, they're very much still in play. And the one thing that the seeding committee talked about following the playoff show last night is the simple fact that Alabama has played a really difficult schedule. And look, the win over Georgia is carrying this team, right? 100%. There'd be some pretty good matchups. If I had to pick the matchups right now, I'd go Ohio State to beat Boise. I go Tennessee to beat Indiana. Although that could be an interesting matchup, but the game would be in Knoxville. Look, if I'm picking Alabama and Texas today, I'm probably picking Texas. And I never pick against Alabama. But going to Austin, this team needs to prove more before I start picking them in a playoff game against Texas. And I have my questions about Texas. I don't know. You're going to Austin. I mean, the team hasn't even won a road game yet in the SEC. Can't pick them on a road in the playoffs to beat Texas. You got to do more than, just you can get there, but can you win the games? And then I guess I would pick Penn State, even though I don't even think Penn State deserves to be here. And this would be the game that James Franklin, it keeps things going for him, but he can't win big games. But I don't even think playing Notre Dame is a big game because Notre Dame, and I'll explain this in a second, they found a loophole to continue to get into the playoffs. Ryan S. points out a really good point, too. When you're looking at Alabama and the resume that they have, every single team that they've played thus far has a winning record. So they have played a really challenging schedule, and everybody understands how good Vanderbilt is this year. But there's still a lot of people, because I read all the comments. I read the comments here on the YouTube channel and then on our Facebook channel. And there's people who just will not accept the fact that Vanderbilt is good. Let me ask you this, okay? For the undefeated right here. Who wins, honestly, who wins Vanderbilt or Penn State? V for Vanderbilt, P for Penn State. Inside the comment box. And I know it's more geared towards SEC bias because we cover the SEC. It's Bama football on YouTube. But honestly, straight up, you follow football, you watch enough college football. Who wins, Vanderbilt or Penn State? I'm serious. You even put the game, I don't know if Vanderbilt wins in Happy Valley. Neutral side, I'm taking Vanderbilt. In Nash Vegas, I'm taking Vanderbilt. See? Vanderbilt for sure. 100%. And Vanderbilt, the crazy thing is they're not even on the map at all. The first team out is SMU. Look at this. See? Vanderbilt. And that's the other thing that I'm thinking about too is like you start looking like Boise State. Look, amazing season. You know, you're doing great for, you know, who you're playing against. But are you really better than like a Vanderbilt? Are you better than a Texas A&M? I don't know. They got a really good running back. Probably the best running back, I guess you could say, in college football. Gelato, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here. $9.99 super chat. Some teams just have an easy schedule to be ranked in the top 10. 100%. Indiana is one of them. If I was to ask you the same question about Vanderbilt or Indiana, I know who you guys are going with. You know, I mean, if I was to ask you, who wins, Texas A&M or Indiana? How about that one? What's up, Shaq Adams? Good morning to you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for kicking it with us. And Gelato, thanks for the super, man. Appreciate you. All right, so here are my takeaways from after looking at this bracket. All right. Kenny, what's up, man? Kenny has Miami winning the title. All right, so these are my takeaways from those rankings. And the rankings don't mean anything. Not even the real rankings. The playoffs don't even start this weekend. You lose this weekend, then I don't even know what we're talking about next Wednesday. You know? Got to win the games. But here, so I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. I have some gripes and a couple things that I'd like to explain. All right, so I'm against the conference champs getting auto bids. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I think that the team, like, look, BYU, great job. Amazing. Like, maybe you can, like, get the 12 spot, but BYU deserving an auto bid? I don't agree with that. They're undefeated. They played I think, 2 top 25 teams. One. Their best win is against Kansas State. That doesn't do a lot for me. And if I was to ask everybody up in here, and I know, look, Alabama fans do not like Ohio State, but honestly, let's be real, who deserves an auto bid more, Ohio State or BYU? Ohio State, 100%. Texas deserves an auto bid more than BYU. And look, I know Kenny from Miami, or we get Bama hater in here from Miami. I mean, look, people are going to question their schedule too. I just don't, like, the conferences are not created equal. That's why I don't think that these teams should have just the auto bid. I think BYU, yeah, you get into the playoffs, but do you really deserve an auto bid? Yo, auto bid is huge. And and to like compound on that, is like BYU is ranked in the playoffs. They're ranked number 9. Number 9. And they get rewarded for being a conference champ when they're 9. They're not the best team. They're not even a top 8, and they're getting an auto bid. Oh, that's crap. Like, they should have a chance to get into the tournament. Yeah, maybe take Boise State's spot. But in terms of getting like auto bid, I think that's like a red flag for me. I think that the best 4 teams, it should be ranked based off the best 4, period. So 1 through 4, Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Miami. If that's how the playoffs are, like, those are your top 4 bids, not your number 9. That doesn't make sense to me. But if they do play and they do host that quarterfinal game, yo, I don't know if it'll be Ohio State at that point in time. Whoever it is, Ohio State will be, capable to play up there. They'll beat BYU, and they'll be acclimated because I would imagine Columbus is freezing as well on December 31st. But, a game up in Provo, Utah, on the 31st, what's the temperature going to be? Yo, there's going to be snow. I'm watching that game 100%. All right. So I just that was my thing on auto bids. The pretenders right now, I honestly feel that Miami's still a pretender. I think, look, Cam Ward and some of their receivers, Cam Ward is the guy. He is it. Nothing against Cam. Like, the guy he's a great quarterback. And in late game situations, the guy absolutely delivers. I have pretenders right now as Miami, Indiana, Penn State. Somebody brought up a good point on my show last night. They were like, you guys thought that Michigan was a pretender all season long until they beat the brakes off Alabama. That was a fair point. But I think we can all understand that, like, Miami, Indiana, and Penn State, I guess I should have put maybe even Notre Dame up there too. I just don't feel that these teams are like last year's Michigan. Like, last year's Michigan team was playing some quality defense. They had the players. Like, Miami has clearly Cam Ward, who arguably is the best quarterback in the country. Probably is. Indiana has a really good quarterback as well, but they haven't even played one team in the top 25, and they're 9-0. Now, they beat Ohio State. Okay. And the game probably be close. And Penn State, I mean, nobody has ever taken Penn State serious. They just don't. This is what happens to Penn State. James Franklin can manufacture you 9 wins. He's not beating, like, the top tier teams. He's not beating, like, the Michigan, and he's not beating Ohio State. He's, like, going to hover around 3 and 4 in the Big Ten, and that's enough for Penn State fans. It's sad, but it's true. I think those teams are pretenders. And look, Miami, the reason I kind of point to the pretender is, look, no one from the ACC really scares me. They've had to come back against, who is it? Louisville? Okay, Louisville just beat Clemson, but come on, it's Louisville. They had to come back against Duke. They had to come back against Virginia Tech. And they had to come back against Cal. Remember that? They had to come back against Cal. Cal beat Auburn. Or did Auburn beat Cal? I think Cal beat Auburn. It was Florida State who beat Cal. You see what I'm saying? Antonio, I know, man. Duke was up on that game, and then Miami just kind of fired away and got a bunch of fast break points there at the end. But Duke was leading Miami. Virginia Tech was leading Miami. Cal was leading Miami. And so was Louisville. 4 teams. Yeah, Cal beat Auburn, and it was Florida State that beat Cal, right? I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Notre Dame, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Notre Dame is a team that, I don't know, for whatever reason, like, people always want them to be good again. I think it's because we grew up watching NBC and saw a lot of Notre Dame football. I was one of them. I liked watching Notre Dame football. The gold helmets, right? The traditions of Notre Dame. It was like college football pageantry. But the problem with Notre Dame is they won't join a conference. And they found kind of a loophole because it's hard to leave them out of the playoffs when they're beating less tier competition and they don't have to play a conference championship game. They're like, fine, we don't want to auto bid. We just want to get in the playoffs and host a game. They lost to Northern Illinois. And their win is against Texas A&M. That's kind of what they're living off of. And I think they play Army coming up. And look, I love Army. I love Navy. I love the Air Force. Army and Notre Dame, like, Army is not like a top 15, like, legitimate college football team. We all know that. They're having an amazing season, and I love to see it. And I can't wait for Army and Navy to play at the back end of the year like everybody else. But I wouldn't imagine that's listed as like a quality win. Eric D, thank you. And every single time we've seen Notre Dame get to this point and they play Alabama, we know what's going to happen. There was one time where the score was a little bit close. It wasn't close. The game wasn't close. Every time Alabama and Notre Dame play, I know the outcome. It's kind of like sleepy to cover in the preview because I'm trying to be like, yo, Notre Dame, they're going to be good. They're not. Man, and fans for like Notre Dame, they like think this is it. This is like they're really going to go far. No, they're not. Stop. See, the reason like why Alabama fans are so upset right now is because the standards are so high, which they should be. Your standards should always be so high. You know, 2 losses before we get to Thanksgiving, that's tough. That's tough to swallow. Nobody likes that in this city. Nobody likes that in this state. Alabama's still being rewarded because they're playing tough competition. And they have that win over Georgia, which I'm talking about right now. Now, Alabama's win over Georgia is saving their you-know-what. Yeah, I mean, so after the playoff rankings, the selection committee sends out a transcript and they answer some questions from the media. I quickly glanced over it, and somebody asked about Alabama. And the seating committee was like, look, they played a tough schedule, and yeah, 100% their win over Georgia supersedes a lot of what the other teams have done. The win against Georgia is like, this team is living off that win. Now, win out and you're in, and you got to hope that, you know, it's going to help for Georgia to continue to win. But that win over Georgia, that's it. And look, Georgia's at the top right now. Well, their lone loss comes to Alabama. And what made it even better is we had kind of made Texas into this unbeatable college football team, and then Georgia went there after Alabama beat them and beat Texas in Austin. So that only helped Alabama. Byron, thank you, man. Exactly. Yeah, Kenny, no one's denying Cam Ward, man. That dude is like, he's amazing, 100%. South Carolina's a good win, too. Do you think that, look, let's go back to this real quick. South Carolina, great point. I think South Carolina would beat BYU. I think South Carolina would beat Boise State. I think South Carolina would probably even beat, you know what? South Carolina and Notre Dame would be a hell of a game. What about South Carolina and Indiana? How about that one? I think if I polled everybody right now, people would be saying South Carolina beats Indiana. If Bama wins out, they're hosting. So right now on this graphic from ESPN, it has Alabama playing on the road. Yeah, that is scary. I don't want to go to Austin. Nobody wants to go play Austin in the playoffs. Steve Sarkisian, tough first-round draw. I know. Coach Kalen DeBoer has never lost about Steve Sarkisian. The playing over there, it'd be very challenging. The last time Alabama went there, it was crazy. Plus, they could hit you with the beer bottle in the head, right? But if Alabama wins out and they're 10-2 with the win over Georgia, they will be hosting a playoff game. I don't know where they'll be, but they will be probably 6, 7, or 8. They won't be 5, but they'll be hosting a game, which would be really cool to see. I mean, and that's why, remember when everyone got upset about the grass for spring football? They were like, the grass doesn't look as good, as green as it usually does. Well, it's because Alabama football is so far ahead of everything else, they knew that they had to change the sod to be ready for a playoff game should they host a playoff game. Man, that is like having your head on a swivel, 100%. Tough road games in the playoffs. You imagine going up to Oregon? That stadium, it's not like a SEC stadium in terms of the size of it, but I've been to that stadium. It's loud. It's kind of built like a vortex. Plus, I think over there, they'd be rolling. They'd be excited. Dan Lanning's got that fire in the belly. That'd be a tough. Playing over there would be really, really challenging. Playing in Athens, that's one of the actual stadiums I've never been to. I've been to the campus. I've never been to the football stadium. I think Alabama goes to Sanford Stadium next year, which would be a hell of a matchup. Going to Texas, I think, would be super challenging. Going to Tennessee, we already saw how that went. Alabama's lost the last 2 times they've been up there. Nobody's denying that Alabama hasn't won a SEC game. We understand that. On the road. Playing at Ohio State, that would be also challenging. And then BYU, I just threw them in there because of the snow or whatever. Let's talk about X factors for Alabama versus LSU. Can you go ahead, besides Jalen Milroe, because I think that's an easy one. And I mean, I guess you could throw in Ryan Williams if you want to. Oh, by the way, did you see? I posted it on our Facebook channel. I'll try to pipe it in here. Did you see? I didn't come up with this. Somebody on X, Twitter, posted a picture of Fresh Prince, Will Smith. Remember the last scene when they're about to leave the house in Beverly Hills? And he's all alone. He takes one more glance and he hits out the lights. God, I love Fresh Prince. I grew up watching that show. Man, Uncle Phil, Hillary. But anyway, somebody posted that. It was a picture of Will, and it was like, this is a live look at Ryan Williams at the Alabama practice facility because he's the only one that can't vote. I thought that was absolutely well timed. Fresh Prince was good. I loved Fresh Prince. It's funny. So who are your X factors besides? Don't add Jalen Milroe. Who are your X factors? Because I think that it's too obvious. Who are your X factors against LSU? Offense, defense, whatever you want. What's up, From? See you inside the comment box, man. Good morning to you. Who are your X factors against LSU? Overton's a good one. Jam Miller, yep. I thought about adding, I had Jahad Campbell listed on here. I took him off. And then I put 2 players from the secondary. So I'll talk about Jalen Milroe. I said not to add him, but, clearly he's the biggest piece of this puzzle for Alabama's offense. Last year does not equal this year. Completely different coaching staff, different elements. Last year, Jalen Milroe ran 20 times and he scored 4 touchdowns on the ground against LSU. Will that be the case against, the Tigers this year? I don't know. I'm setting the over-under right now at 4 total touchdowns for Jalen Milroe. Over-under 4 total touchdowns for Jalen Milroe. Not only is Alabama's back against the wall, I think this is a real critical game for Jalen Milroe. Let's face it. The last, 3 games that he's played in hasn't been in, right? And everybody, everybody's been very critical of Jalen Milroe. He's not accurate. We want another quarterback. He doesn't have what it takes to lead this team to where it wants to go. We can't win a national championship. A ton of stuff, right? So not only is Alabama's back against the wall, I think this is a critical game for Jalen Milroe. He's now people aren't even talking about him anymore in the Heisman race. And I think when you look to his NFL draft stock, they're going to look to how does he play in these big games down the road in his final year here at Alabama. Now, is he going to the NFL? I think 100% yes, but he could come back if he wanted to. If Jalen Milroe has a game against LSU, they win this game. I love it, Eric T. I think this is a money game for Milroe. Now, the weather, it's going to provide another element to this matchup, but how many games were in the rain this past weekend for the NFL? I mean, I saw 5 games in the rain. That's just another element you have to deal with. The game's played outside. But this is a huge opportunity for Jalen Milroe. More or less 4 total touchdowns for Jalen Milroe against LSU. More or less 4 touchdowns. Let's say 3.5. So do you think that he's going to account for 4 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 3 on the ground, 1 passing, 3 passing, 1 rushing? Or do you think it's going to be less than 4? 3.5 for touchdowns for Jalen Milroe against LSU. Vote inside the comment box. I'm going to say more. I think he accounts for more. I think I'm going with 2 passing and 2 rushing. You know what, Max? I should have probably added the right tackle position over Jam Miller or LT Overton. The right tackle position, that is the question is more or less than 3 touchdowns for Jalen Milroe in this game against LSU, like accounting for 2 rushing, 1 passing. I'm going with 4, so I'm saying over that mark. I'm saying 2 passing and 2 rushing. Huge game for this dude. Huge game. Yesterday, did you see Alabama was practicing like they were like throwing water at him while they were passing the ball? They're getting ready for the rain. My next X factor is Jam Miller. Look, Justice Haynes and thankfully finally he got some notoriety after he put his head down and buried that dude. I really like Justice Haynes. I had an opportunity to talk to him. He is such a really grounded young man. His parents did the same thing. I mean, Jalen, all these guys, right? But Justice Haynes, I'm just really happy for him to finally have his game. But please feed Jam Miller in this game against LSU. This is like an NFL type game. Feed him. Like, if he doesn't have 15 carries, like, I'll be disappointed. Feed him. Like, he's capable, he's ready, he's healthy. He can keep Alabama's defense off the field. Look, I understand. Look, Alabama's secondary is vulnerable. Am I happy with the play of Bray Hubbard in the last game? Of course. They didn't have a quarterback, though. If you really want to know the truth, Missouri did not have a quarterback. They really didn't. I'm not taking anything away from Bray Hubbard. I thought he played well. He executed what he was supposed to do, but Missouri did not have a quarterback. That's like fighting somebody who has no arms. So control the time of possession, right? And you do that by running the football. Now, he has big playability, but if you can limit the wear and tear on Jalen, and you can hand the football off to Jam Miller and get him opportunities, specifically in the red zone too. Like, feed him. You get inside the red zone, feed him. Hey, Keshawn, what's up? I appreciate you being here. We don't know how long Keon Sabb is going to be out. They never really gave us a timeline. Coach Kellen DeBoer just said he'll be out for an extended amount of time. Myron, and you're right, man. It's like if you really know football and you really understand football, you're happy with Missouri by the way they executed, but in the big picture, it's not like the defense completely transformed. Missouri literally did not have a quarterback, and they didn't have a running back. I don't want to lie to you guys and be like, everything is like perfect. They figured it out. No, they didn't. They played a team that didn't have a quarterback and a running back. If they would have scored, I would have been freaking out. Missouri was terrible. Alabama has also been lucky in playing quarterbacks that cannot connect with wide receivers. And now, thankfully, it's going to be raining. So, you look at Garrett Nussmeier connecting with his receivers. Is that going to play a factor? Probably so, which will also benefit Alabama. LT Overton. And I want to add Jahad Campbell here. So, when you have LT Overton and Jahad Campbell playing like they did in that last game, man, those guys have high motors, and they're very good on the defensive side of the ball. They can create turnovers. They can create pressure. They provide a lot of momentum for Alabama's defense. But if I'm drawing like a red circle who I'm targeting in this game, I am 100% going after Xavier Brown, and I'm going after Bray Hubbard. I'm targeting the safety, who we love. And look, the thing about Bray Hubbard, what we know, he has a nose for the football, great physicality. But, these wide receivers for LSU, they can fly. They can stretch the field. They are going to challenge you in situations. So Xavier Brown's going to get tested because he always does, and Bray Hubbard. So will the weather slow down Garrett Nessmeyer from hooking up with his receivers? Probably so. But these guys are going to be challenged. And if they can come up with big plays in this game, Alabama survives it. Hey, Big, what's up, man? Thanks for becoming an ultimate fan funder. That's what's up. I appreciate you supporting the channel right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you so much. All right. As we turn the page and start looking at Alabama LSU, want to talk about keys of the game. Alabama now favored by 3 points. And the line's been moving because when it started out, we started talking about this game kind of down the road, LSU was the favorite by like 2.5. And then it went down to like 1.5, and then it slid to Alabama 2.5, and now it's up to 3. So the line is moving, and people feeling more confident about this game, as am I. I was feeling confident like early on the week, but I've been noticing like a lot of people have a lot of anxiety about this game, and it kind of spilled over into my mind too. I mean, LSU is always challenging. That's a tough place to play. Alabama hasn't won a game on the road yet. The weather, all this stuff. So when you look to keys to beating LSU, these are the keys that I came up with. So when you guys call in a minute, give me your take on keys to beating LSU when you guys call in. Bama hater, man, you can call in and give us your opinion on the non-Alabama stuff. It's just like you can be, there's 3 people else that are on hold. That's fine. You'll get your opportunity, I promise you. Let me finish out this real quick, and I'll let you go. So keys to beating LSU, this is what I came up with. And when you call in, give me your take on this as well. So I have run the football. As I said early in the morning, like get Jam Miller the football, right? Let him run. Feed him. I don't think he's had more than 15 carries this entire season, which is crazy to think about. What's up, Todd? I appreciate you being here. Good morning to you. Todd's been a long time supporter of the show. 6 months he's been a fan funder too. Win the time of possession. I think 1 and 2 go hand to hand, right? I don't want to see anything fancy in this game. Don't do anything fancy. No like triple reverse passes, or don't have Ryan Williams throw the ball to Jalen Milroe. Like, you don't need that. You have too many offensive weapons to be doing silly stuff like that. Like, don't get fancy. Run the football, connect on some big throws when you can, but nothing fancy. Like, don't do that in a game like this, because if those don't work, they're momentum killers. And you don't need gadget plays are for 6-4 high school football teams. Seriously, they're for underachieving high school football teams. Don't do that. It looks tacky too. You don't need it, man. Like, how about it? If you want to do something fancy, throw a screen to Justice Haynes. How about that? There's your gadget play. That's it. Pressure the quarterback if you can, right? Maybe Q-Rob comes off. That's where you see LT Overton or Jahad Campbell up the middle at the inside linebacker position. Pressure the quarterback. And I understand the schematics of the game. If you pressure the quarterback, then, your secondary is going to be in man coverage situations, which we don't necessarily want. But Alabama is number 4 in the country in forced turnovers. Max Tooney, yeah, but they use them on like 4th and 20. Don't use your screenplay. Don't use your screens on 4th and 20. You know where they work well? Is like a 3rd and 7. 3rd and 7, running back screen all day. Not a 20-yard fly. Like, I'm telling you. 3rd and 7, perfect opportunity for a little running back screen to Justice Haynes. Just saying. I don't care about starting fast. I really don't. I don't look, because you don't win the game in the first quarter. I think so. A couple things. Number one, you take the momentum out of the game in the first half, right? Keep the momentum, kind of similar to what Ohio State did against Penn State. That Penn State, the crowd, they were completely out of it. Hung their heads. They were sad, right? But like in the second half, limit the big plays. Don't let if Alabama's up, I don't know, 17-10, don't allow big plays in the second half. Don't turn this in to Rocky 5 in the parking lot. When Rocky and who is it? Tommy who? What was Tommy's last name? You know, when Rocky and Tommy go out to the parking lot, he's like, "Where's your ring?" He's like, "My ring's outside." What was it? Was it Tommy Gunn? Don't turn it into Rocky 5. Limit the big plays, the deep passes. We know what's coming. Have a plan for the noise and for the weather. Right? That's it. Those are my keys to the game. Tommy Morrison, thank you. All right, let's go to the phones. I appreciate you guys joining Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Welcome on in, Bama Hater. Bama Hater, what's up,
going on, man?
How you doing today? Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you're off to a great Wednesday. Appreciate you being patient, man. So Bama Hater is a Miami fan. He's coming from an outside perspective. So Bama Hater, man, it's good to catch up with you, man. Welcome on the show. Go have at it, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you putting me on, man. Hey, I want to discuss what you guys been talking about. You made a comment about my Hurricanes, who they could lose to, blah, 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 and who they've played. But Miami has beaten every single team they played. And I only hear this when certain teams don't play outlandish schedule with difficult teams. But when it's a different team, let's call them Alabama, all we hear is a win is a win. I don't care how we win, but when it's another team, it's different. Let's talk about who Alabama has played. In the current playoff poll, they only played one ranked team. Missouri's not on the poll, so Georgia's the only ranked team that they played. And they want to put so much emphasis on Alabama beating Georgia. And we all know Alabama's only in the playoff poll because of brand name and past championships with Nick. It's politics, man. They got beat by Vanderbilt, but you guys do not want to highlight them getting beat by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt was not ranked then, and they're not ranked now. So you can't talk about my Hurricanes when you don't include your Crimson Tide. Is that fair or is that unfair?
Well, I think you have to mention that they also lost to Tennessee too, who's inside the playoffs. But let's look at your – well, first of all, I appreciate the call in and thanks for the dialogue. I think when you look to Alabama fans and the loss against Vanderbilt, and from what I understood from ESPN talking about yesterday, the loss doesn't look as bad because Vanderbilt is now ranked in the top 25. But I get what you're saying. They were number one at that point in time. They go to Nash Vegas. They do lose, and then they lost on the road again to Tennessee. Tennessee's still inside the top 10. And I don't know if, like, right now, if you're realistic and you're an Alabama football fan, I think you're scared of pretty much any team because you understand the parity of the SEC and you understand that college football is not what it is specifically in the SEC. But when you look to the ACC, Bama Hater, and looking at Miami's schedule now, I think one of the things is we have a hard time understanding like which games that Miami is kind of living off of. I get it. They're 9-0, and I love Cam Ward, by the way. The guy's an absolute baller.
But Kyle, let me be honest, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I know Miami. Our defense is porous, and they don't play until it's almost too late. But I keep telling the guys in my sports group, on the radio, on TV, if Cam Ward has a ball at the end, you are at his mercy. I don't care what team we're facing.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to score 50-plus to beat us. I don't care what your opinion is of Miami or the ACC, because before last week, they were talking about how bad Clemson wasn't that good because they got blown out by Georgia, but they were picking Clemson to win the ACC before last week. Now they have 2 losses. You have Georgia, you have Texas, you have Alabama, the bell cows, the brand name, and the 3 teams that they need in the playoffs for revenue purposes. Let's not kid ourselves. That is the main reason those 3 teams are in there. But each one of those teams with the next loss, they are all out of the SEC championship game. So what credence do we put on those 3 teams as being so powerful where they're not going to even compete in the SEC championship game if they lose their next game? Alabama will have 3 losses before Black Friday. Come on, dude.
Hey, Bama hater, let me ask you.
And I'm just, hey man, I'm passionate, man, but I'm just a football fan. Don't take it as just hate.
No, I got you.
I'm a football fan, man. I'm just going on what I see.
Let me ask you this. All right. So I have a graphic right now. I don't know if you can see the screen. So I have a graphic up of Georgia. It's basically the SEC standings right now. So you got Georgia up at the top, Texas A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss. Where would Miami be right now in this conference, do you think? Where would they be ranked?
What, Kyle, I get that question too. And my answer is always going to be whatever I say is just going to be my opinion. That's all it's going to be. I mean, I don't know where we will be. Who knows? It's just like saying, hey, man, how much money are you going to put on Alabama to beat Vanderbilt? A whole lot. But how much money do you have after the game? It's just the same scenario to me. We don't. All of these are just our opinions, man. Where would Ohio State be if they were in the SEC?
I think if they had a schedule that was comparable to some of these other teams, they'd probably have one of the same. I think a similar record. I mean, they did lose on the road to Oregon, and then they came up with the win against I think a not so good Penn State team. But I don't know. When I look to Miami, I think they're the classic case of a grass basketball team. Now, I will agree with you. If Cam Ward has that football last, he is absolutely dangerous. But I think overall, when I look to Miami's schedule, and I had it up on the screen, I mean, game like the back and forth with Louisville, the back and forth with Duke, the back and forth with Virginia Tech, like those teams are not SEC caliber. That's why I think when Miami gets to upper tier competition, I think they will struggle because I think grass basketball can only take you so far. Make one final point, Bama hater. Go ahead.
Kyle, check this out, man. I understand where you're coming from, but I can say the same exact thing about Alabama. You not only got beat by Vanderbilt, but you struggle with South Florida and South Carolina. Both teams were not ranked. So I can say the same thing about Bama. And who's to say if Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, BYU, or Notre Dame, which are all in the top 10, could beat Miami? I don't think any of them. But that's just my opinion, man. You know, I'm a Miami fan. I told you preseason, I predicted Miami 10-2 at worst, 11-1 at best, and we would make the playoffs. And I also told you Georgia and Alabama wouldn't be in the SEC championship game, and we're one loss away from that coming true.
I appreciate you calling in, Bama hater. I'll see you inside the comment box, man. Good luck to the Canes, man. Call again, though. Don't let this be your last call, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right, take it easy, man. All right, Bama hater leading off for us. I mean, look, that's the thing is like the ACC, and he's right on one thing. I thought Clemson would be a team that would beat Miami. I don't think anybody's going to beat Miami in the ACC. So who knows? Maybe Miami even ends up with the number 1 seed when all is said and done. Because what happens if Oregon loses to, I don't know, Ohio State later on in the Big Ten championship game, right? Pretty much every conference champ would have one loss besides BYU, and you can't put BYU as the number 1 seed. I don't think so. So you would put Miami up there. Anyway, it's been a good season. I mean, for Mario Cristobal, part of the Nick Saban ecosystem. Finally, they're doing something too. I know Bama haters been excited to call in, so I appreciate it. Thanks for the call. All right, 205, you're up next. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
So,
Who am I on the line with, and where are you
those
calling in
teams would
from?
win the conference championship games, theoretically, and then they would host the quarterfinals.
Hey, 205. Turn the volume on the computer or the
Teams
TV
5,
down.
6, 7, and 8. Those teams that are seated in that spot.
All right, we'll take 205. Turn your computer or TV down in the back, and I'll bring you back on. 865. You're up next. Angel, what's up, man? Thanks for calling in from Pigeon Forge, man. What's up?
Yeah. Before I get started here, I gotta talk to this Miami fan. What's his name again? Bama hater.
That's what he goes by inside the comment box.
He got to be something on Voodoo or whatever, man. Because right now I got this pulled up here. Alabama and Miami all time right now. Alabama owns Miami 15-3, and not only that, Mr. Bama hater, y'all haven't been relevant in 20 years, man. Since Ray Lewis and them left, and Sean Taylor. Well, guess what, homeboy? Miami's not a good team. I'm sorry. They're good offensively, but defensively, they are just terrible. They're like Oklahoma and USC under Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
Dog crap defense. I'm sorry. I hate to be that way with that. But I'm just being. That's how I see Miami right now. They're good in grass basketball, but they don't have the right resume to back it up. The ACC is garbage, plain and simple, and I think SMU will beat Miami in the ACC title game because Miami, that defense will come back and bite them in their rear end when it comes to playoff time. That offense will get shut down. Cam Ward will not be able to handle the pressure against Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, or Oregon. I'm sorry. That's just the reality that we're living in with Miami. Miami hasn't been relevant in 20 years until today, or until this season. They've been under a rock. And I hate to preach it, but that's how I feel about it. But anyway, I think you're smoking something, Bama hater. That's all I got to say on Bama hater. But LSU, this game is going to be a tough game. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a key factor to stop in this game because he's got Aaron Anderson, a great player. Same thing with the running backs and the other receivers. That defense is kind of soft a little bit. I can really see Alabama run the ball against him in this game completely, and that's how. And I think they'll run the ball effectively in the rain because it's going to be hard to throw the ball in the rain anyway. And Alabama's got a better defense than LSU, and I have faith in Jahad Campbell, Lawson, and Damani Jackson, and the way I saw Bray Hubbard play, he can ball. So and Xavier Brown as well. So we'll be pretty good. And Malachi Moore is going to lead that charge against LSU. And I do believe that everyone else will pop off in this game because Bama's got a way better talent level team than LSU. It comes down to clock management as well and also coaching with Kevin DeBoer. That's all. That's all it has to take for this game to win this game because right now we're in, play or die mode right now. So,
hey, Angel,
anyway,
are you going to try to call into the coaches show tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to try to. Hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully he gets my answer. I'm going to ask him about this defense and offensively we need to do.
Okay.
But anyway, Kyle, man, I got other people calling in. Roll Tide, man.
Roll Tide,
love
team,
y'all.
Man. All right, take it easy, man. All right, that was Angel coming Pigeon Forge. All right, we're gonna go back to 205. 205. Turn the audio down on like the TV or the computer, whatever you're listening to, and then just call through your phone. So let's try it again. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from? All right. Looks like it's not going to work out. All right, we go back to the phone lines, and we got Chris calling in from New Jersey. Chris, what's up, man? I appreciate you calling in.
Kyle, my friend, I've been slammed over the last few days, and not seeing your show. I'm having a withdrawal, my friend. I'm like, I miss everybody. I miss all the undefeated, Max, Jarvis, Rocket, everybody, Ephraim. But I would say this. The one thing I love when you put the weather up. I think Tuesday, this is going to be a tough game, and my prediction is we win. It's going to be really tight. It's going to all the way to the end of the game, and we win this game, we make the playoffs. That's it. That's all I'm saying. But listen, if there is some good weather and it's raining, I think that hurts them more than it hurts us.
Yeah.
And I think that there's one thing that no one's really discussing is it might take their fans out of the game a little bit. When you're sitting in a stadium and it's pouring rain on you, and and they're grinding it out with the running game. All of a sudden, you're in there, and you're not so keen to jump up and down. But so I'm so excited. I am. I'm getting ready. I'm calling for a win, baby, win. Now, Kyle, I did say something that I probably shouldn't, but I said that if Alabama wins this, they win out, no problem, which is asking for trouble. Am I asking to be hit by lightning a little bit, Kyle? So either way, listen, I'm very excited. I'm happy to call in. Great job. Oh, I love all the graphics. My best to you, my best to the undefeated, and that is a great hat. God bless America. So roll tide, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Take it easy. Thanks for calling. Chris from New Jersey. Yeah, if you missed it earlier, I wear the hat because, usually I wear a variety of Alabama football hats. I wear the hat because I love this country. It's not like any sort of like political statement. I'm a very patriotic person because I have great appreciation for those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to have a vote, for us to be free, right? I used to live in Washington, D.C. as well, and Virginia. So being around men and women, who are serving this country, I have great respect. I have families in the military, done tours overseas, and so I have a great respect for those that are currently serving. And there's people who call in from all over the world. This is honestly a platform that people get their Alabama football news from. So we have a lot of people stationed all over the country that watch the show, which I appreciate. Thanks for the call, Chris. We go back to the phone lines, and we will actually, phone line is open. So want to call in, that's cool. 205-850-1994. I appreciate it. Yeah, freedom isn't free, 100%. These are my X factors. I switched to, I'm now in rocking chair mode, even though this isn't a rocking chair. I put it in chill mode. So in case you're wondering, got the chair behind. I'll be on Bleacher Report this afternoon too, at 4 p.m. That's 4 p.m. Central Time. Got to write that down, so even I remember. And Chris from New Jersey, man, if I'm going after this to go mail out your Ryan Williams rookie card. So that's what I'm doing today, along with some other stuff. The weather, it was a little bit rainy this morning, but the weather's been great here. The weather for this game, and this is from North Alabama Storm Chase, who sent this in. 80% for that tailgate. Feels like 85, 60% chance of rain. Game time kick is 76, 40% chance of rain. There's a big storm system moving that direction. Hey, North Alabama Storm Chase, if you're on, I'll message you. But if you could send a graphic of that storm kind of coming through, I'd appreciate that. Lance, what's up, man? I see you inside the comment box as well. And then fourth quarter, 74, 40% chance of rain. We got Free Mike calling in from Austin. Mike, what's up? Good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Kyle. Good morning. If you have a phone line open, I'm going to call in. That's
I love it.
So, but hey, it's something, man. I really think I don't want to take nothing away from the other conferences, right? Because there's decent football played in all conferences. I don't want to take nothing away from them. But I really believe that the week in, week out games of the SEC is just so much tougher than all the other conferences. Just kind of making it through like the big teams you have to play, like all the ones we know, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, sometimes back-to-back. Like I mentioned, you're just almost guaranteed 2 losses in the SEC. And just like, there's just so many examples, like Alabama the last few years. I just think this is kind of like I said, not to take nothing away from these other teams. They're decent teams, but I just think the SEC is so much tougher week in, week out. And playing them tough games, it just takes its wear on you. You know what I mean? So when you get towards the end of the year, like, for instance, Kyle, Ohio State's next two games, their combined win is 5. They have a combined 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Their next two opponents. Alabama's got to go play LSU. Then we got to go, and that's a tough game that anybody could lose. I just think just apples to apples. It's just hard to compare like where other teams would be if they were in the SEC. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like if you ask, what if Miami was in the SEC?
Yeah, I have this graphic up right now on the line. Mike calling in from Austin. Just looking at I never really glanced at the ACC standings. I knew, I was talking about Clemson earlier and Miami. I know they're up at the top, but you look at the teams right here, and you can't help but wonder if you're just I'm a numbers type guy. I'm a visual, clearly. I do all the graphics and stuff like that. But I mean, look, you got to wonder, like, where would Miami be in the SEC? And we'll never know. But same thing with like SMU and Clemson and Louisville, Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's 7-1. Look, I'm happy for Eli Holstein, but who wins, Pittsburgh or Vanderbilt? I don't know, right? I mean, who wins, Louisville or Tennessee? Who wins, Clemson or Texas A&M? I mean, we might not have answers to the question. Who wins, Miami or Georgia, right?
Right. So, and all you can really do is try to compare, like, just Miami to a team that's already in the SEC, like LSU. I would say LSU and Miami are fairly comparable. I would say LSU's probably been more successful, even better. Mm-hmm. Well, LSU takes 2 or 3 losses every year. So, I mean, it's just not being in the SEC is a major advantage to teams making it to the playoffs and getting, I guess, healthy and just. But that's just I just see it play out year after year. And like I say, just with Alabama being the best team in the past 15 years, pretty much been the best team in college football. But it doesn't mean you're going to win them all, because just the rigors of the week in and week out, how tough everything is in our conference. That's what's just so hard to compare,
Yeah, 100%.
But
what about
absolutely, buddy? All right.
Well, before you go, what about keys to the game for this weekend? What do you think in terms of Alabama, LSU? I put up some X factors or any I hit on the fact that I think you got to run the ball, time of possession, no gadget plays, pressure on the quarterback. Like, is there anything that I missed or anything that you're watching for this Alabama LSU game, like keys to the game theme?
Well, what I look at is this, Kyle. I just kind of look at where teams are at their season, where they're at in the season, and what games are must-win games. And like in this situation, this is a must-win game for both these teams. That's why it's kind of being called the playoff elimination game, which it kind of is for Alabama anyway. But here's kind of where I see this game playing out. I think we know what LSU is going to bring. LSU is going to be ready to play ball. I think the quarterback's going to have a good night. I think the crowd's going to be rowdy. I think the coach is going to be ready to win the game. It's a must-win game. So it really just depends on what Alabama brings. If we bring our Vanderbilt, Alabama, we're going to get beat. If we bring our first quarter Georgia, Alabama, we're going to beat them 50-0. I mean, so it just depends. It just depends on what Alabama team shows up. But I kind of write that off as in first year. Because, Kyle, you got to remember, bud, we had 30 people go out, 30 people come in. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a 60-person turnover. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it's a completely different team and a complete coaching turnover for the most part. So that's why I kind of give this first year a little pass on everything. Just let DeBoer. And, of course, it depends on Milroe. I think Milroe's a good quarterback, but it depends on our offensive line. There's so many things. Offensive line and Milroe go hand in hand, in my opinion. They go hand in hand. When the offensive line seems to be blocking, he seems to do better. When they don't block good, he's just too quick to think and run or something. So it's 50-50 Miller offensive line sometimes. But like I said, I think I know what LSU's going to bring. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to put up the yards. They're going to be ready to play. If we're going to beat them, we just got to show up as a better team, focused, hungry, and be ready to win. But it's going to be an epic game. I think it's going to be an epic game. So, Scott, but Kyle, to me, it's 50-50. It's going to be a 50-50 game. It's going to be tough, man.
I appreciate the call. Thanks for calling in, Mike.
All right, buddy. You take care.
All right, man. Mike calling in from Austin. We have a 205. We'll take it right now. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Ray Woods calling in from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Hey, what's up, Ray? Good morning to you, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Hope you're having a good day yourself, man.
Yep. Go ahead, man.
So as someone is in Tuscaloosa right now,
Mm-hmm.
we are all nervous about this game coming up,
Mm-hmm.
which we all assume, like most of the Alabama fans here. I've actually got a chance to talk with one of them, and they're saying they expect to win, but I don't know. It's just nervous with football nowadays. Like, I've been an Alabama fan most of my life, and
Mm-hmm.
well, that was with Saban's good dynasty years. So the expectation is always to win, but with Kellen DeBoer, you can't have those expectations. Like, the big thing, like a lot of people need to understand, he's not Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't always expect to win, even though that's what Alabama fans are brought up with.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that when you look, what has been your assessment on Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe over the last couple games?
Well, personally, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of him. Let me rephrase that. I'm not a fan of his decision making. Like, something that he needs to improve on. You can't stare down receivers. Like, that's a big thing. You have to take progression reads and you have to look. You can't just stare him down, or then you're going to do two things. You're either going to throw it to him in a very short window and get him killed, or you're going to throw an interception.
How do you think that Alabama is able to beat a team like LSU? We're talking like keys of the game.
Smash mouth football. Run the ball down their throat.
I agree.
It's going to rain.
Yep.
Run the ball down their throat.
I agree. That's why it's so surprising to me. I mean, you've been clearly an Alabama football fan for many years, as you said. It's amazing to me, and I get it. The schematics of the game have changed, but like, what's the highest total Jam Miller's around the football for? I think it's under 15 times, which is just mind-boggling to me. I get it. You know, you're also utilizing Justice Haynes as you can, but man, Jam Miller, it seems like he's probably really fresh at this point of season. You want to keep the Alabama defense off the field. I mean, let's be honest. So, you know, run the ball with Jam Miller. I certainly circle him as one of my X factors.
Yes, he will be an X factor. He needs to have at least 150 yards, if not more, in that game.
Oh yeah,
that will be a massive key.
I think if Jam Miller was to run for 100 yards to win the game, I mean, it might be that simple. You know, make some plays on defense.
Actually, let's go back to Miller on something. That's also the passing. Now the legs of Miller, like him running, like we get him running, and that's a little different. Like him, smash mouth football, you can use him for smash mouth football because you use the running back as another blocker.
Mm-hmm.
Which I could see that. I mean, that's something they did against Georgia. I actually remember I was at that game. Something that we saw a lot of was using the running backs as blockers, like at that one where they got that 4 touchdown beginning of the second quarter.
Yeah.
The running back did a great block on 4th down, and literally it just opens up the left side for Miller just to run in for the end zone. You got to do that against LSU. You got to do that more, personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, last year you look to what Jalen did against LSU. I think he ran 20 times over 100 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So past doesn't dictate the future, but you're right. I mean, if you utilize Jalen effectively, and they do love to run the football with Jalen Milroe, so we'll see what happens on Saturday. But I appreciate you calling in, and call again next time, man. I appreciate the dialogue.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, man. You too. All right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for joining the show today. I appreciate the dialogue back and forth. Thanks to everybody who chimed in today. I really appreciate the back and forth and for supporting Bama football on YouTube. We're getting closer. Today is November 6th. We got a couple more days before we got Alabama and LSU. Tomorrow we'll look at the college football schedule from around the country. Look at the SEC, Big 12, Big 10. There's some pretty good games this weekend. I can't wait to get your take on that. And, Georgia and Ole Miss this weekend, that is one of the games that we'll certainly spotlight. I think it's expected to be pretty close. I think it's like a 2.5-point favorite for Georgia. The game is in Oxford, so we will be keeping track of that one as well. Have an amazing day. Thank you very much for supporting Bama football on YouTube. I'm just a solo type dude who runs a YouTube channel, so all the support, I really appreciate it. And you guys hitting the thumbs up goes a long way. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you have an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Be good people, and we will catch you soon. Next time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coming to you one more time from Hollywood, Alabama. Oh, my where's my gear? I'm washing all my stuff. So this is a non-Alabama licensed hoodie, but I'm still rocking the hoodies because that's my style. I appreciate you guys. Have an amazing